Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we live. And I've taken a look at 5 of the 8 opening round series in the NBA playoffs. The 3 I haven't done are rather difficult because there are major key injuries in all 3. I haven't done the Heat series, Jimmy Butler. Haven't done the Pelican series, Zion Williamson may miss the entire opening round. And now today I'm going to do the Milwaukee Bucks 3rd seed against the 6th seed Indiana Pacers and their 2-time MVP, the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo, is out with a calf strain. Um, will miss at least game 1, but let's get into the series, talk a little bit more about his injury in a bit. But we see that, the Eastern Conference was so cluttered that they're so close in the standings. See, the Bucks finished just 2 games better than the Indiana Pacers, who were quite the offensive juggernaut, played at a frenetic pace. Uh, Offensive rating second, defensive rating 24th. A rare team that Pacers, they actually led the league in field goal percentage and gave up the worst field goal percentage in the league. Meanwhile, a team featuring Giannis and Dame Lillard, you would expect one of the best offensive ratings. They do at 6th. Defensive rating was a bit of a struggle and a little bit expected that they would fall a bit. Yes, Damian Lillard's the superior offensive player to Drew Holiday, but Drew Holiday is one of the best defensive guards in the league. Let's take a look at the projected starting lineups for this game. So the Pacers, of course, led by Tyrese Halliburton, made 2 straight All-Star teams, potentially could make All-NBA. Although I will say, he got injured and his game post All-Star break hasn't been quite as good as it was when he was dominating teams prior to the All-Star break. Although he did still lead the league in assists per game. Nembhard and Naismith, 2 guys who aren't household names whatsoever, but both provide an important role for the Pacers. Naismith shot nearly 50% from the field and 42% from 3-point territory. Nembhard, a good passer, more than 4 assists per game. They acquired Pascal Siakam. He played 41 games for the Pacers this season, averaging 21.3 points and 7.8 rebounds. Meanwhile, Miles Turner, the franchise leader in blocks, also a guy defenses have to respect because he could definitely take it outside the 3-point line, draining about 36% of his threes. Meanwhile, for the Bucks, Damian Lillard, not very efficient this season. He's still a force on offense, but shot just 42.4% from the field and 35.4% from deep on this season, but still one of the better offensive guards in the league. Most of the season, they did start Malik Beasley. Of late, they have moved to Patrick Beverley, a guy they acquired near the trade deadline. Beverley, good 3-point shooter, 36.1%, even though he's getting a bit advanced in age. He is now 35 years old. He's still someone who can be a pest on the defensive end. Chris Middleton, former All-Star, not quite the player he once was, but still a key scorer. He will be definitely be an X factor for the Bucks in this series, especially if the Greek freak is not able to go. As you see, I list 2 power forwards, Bobby Portis, one of the best reserves this season, and of course 2-time MVP, the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo. So we know he's out at least game 1. Shams Charania did mention that he could be out 2 to 4 weeks. Now, he said this yesterday. I'm not quite sure if he meant 2 to 4 weeks from when he said it or 2 to 4 weeks from the injury. But from what I read, he could be, he definitely possibly could be back this series. No one knows for sure. So I'm going to list him as a starter, and, we'll see if and when he returns. Brook Lopez, just so much of a different player than he once was. A lot of his shots come from beyond the arc, and still one of the better defensive centers in the league. If we take a look at both teams' key reserves, TJ McConnell, man, he was playing awesome to end the season. So much so that even LeBron James decided to tweet out that McConnell's one of his favorite players in the league. It was fun watching him perform. Obi Toppin, that high energy guy, and he shot really efficient this season. 57.3% from the field and over 40% from three-point territory. I'm a Knicks fan. I knew he had somewhat of a three-point shot. I'm not sure he would ever be like an above-average guy, but he's proven to be this season. Jalen Smith maybe hasn't quite lived up to his high draft pick, 10th overall in 2020, but still has been one of the more productive big men off the bench in the league. Ben Shepherd, first-round pick this year. He's been getting more minutes as the season has gone along. A lot of times in the playoffs, teams aren't going to play 10 guys. Isaiah Jackson, Doug McDermott, we'll see if they get minutes. Of course, Bobby Portis listed as the sixth man. Only be the sixth man if the Greek Freak comes back, but was one of the most productive reserves in the game. Malik Beasley, as I mentioned, started much of this season, but definitely a sharpshooter, a guy who can catch fire at any time. Pat Connaughton has been one of those key role players for the Bucks for many years now. A guy who averaged 5.6 points this season. Jay Crowder hasn't necessarily he averaged 6.2 points per game this season. 33 years old. Didn't quite shoot the ball as well as he did last season for Milwaukee. And Danilo Gallinari brought on, of course, he's aging as well, nowhere near the player he once was. Gallinari, AJ Green, two guys who may or may not be part of the postseason rotation. Of course, the Bucks made a coaching change during the season. They were the second seed in the East, well over 500, but decided to move on from Adrian Griffin and brought in Doc Rivers, the much scrutinized Doc Rivers, and the team actually finished under 500 with Rivers. They did have their injuries. Lillard missed a few games. As I mentioned, Giannis has missed games to end this season, but nonetheless hasn't worked out yet. The defense has improved with Rivers, but the offense absolutely has not. This is a tough series to predict, of course, because we don't know Giannis's full status. So if we go to DraftKings Sportsbook, the Pacers are actually the favorite to win the series. That would not be the case if Giannis was fully healthy, but the Pacers are minus 120 compared to the Bucks plus 100. So what do I predict? Again, it's hard because you don't know when and if the Greek Freak is coming back. I'm going to say he does at some point, and the Bucks win in 7. Maybe he comes back for game 5, 6, or 7. But it's going to be interesting. If the Bucks go up 3-1 or 3-2, there's going to be a lot of people chirping about all those 3-1, 3-2 series leads that Doc Rivers has blown in his coaching career. But what are your thoughts? Who do you think takes the 3-6 matchup in the Eastern Conference first round of the playoffs? Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications.